You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show without any boundaries, or with no boundaries, or whatever, some kind of a show. What are we doing here? It's my mind went blank last minute, but again, no show with no real boundaries. We discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, whatever comes to my feeble mind. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only talk about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Well, you know something? I think I've got it here. I might have remembered. There it is. Welcome back, Mark Schneider. How are you this morning?
I'm great, Ron. It's so good to be with you again. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you with us. And to remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
He's let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related, I have a great, my whole mind is going in different directions today. Where are we going, Josh? Josh, you better take over the show today. I might have to go and just, what the heck? What are we going to celebrate? Let's just get right to the celebrations, because I think I can probably handle the celebrations this morning. You know something, Josh, the one that you don't have is the one that I need for today. National Coloring Book Day. It's about where my mind. I didn't even have a martini last. Maybe that's the problem, is there's no martini last night. National Coloring Book Day today. And having beaten her anorexia, National Ice Cream Sandwich Day. I like that one. I like. There's a couple restaurants I go to that make some really good ice cream sandwiches. I might have to see if they have an ice cream sandwich at lunch today. And this is a great one. I did look this up because I wanted to make sure I got it right, because, you never know on all these things. First Tuesday in August is National Night Out Day. So, and no, it's not going to party. It's going to celebrate our camaraderie with law enforcement. Camaraderie with law enforcement. And you're going to have to watch. I think it's, Josh, tell me the date. I think it's the 12th. We're going to be doing a radio program. We got Anaheim Police Sergeant Bob Conklin is coming on. I think it's either the 11th or the 12th coming up. And that's going to be a great radio broadcast that we've got Bob coming in on. And is it the 5th? No, the 5th is at Caravan. 16th. Okay. So, yeah, Joe, you're right. Josh, he's got a cover for me. Give me my crayons. Exactly. So on the 16th, Bob Conklin is coming in. If you've never gone to see a program called Anaheim Confidential, it is a tremendous program. You ever seen the TV program? I think it's called 48 Hours, and they walk you through a program or an event that happened, a major crime. Well, this is in our neighborhood. So this is a crime that the Anaheim Police Department worked on for several weeks, months. I don't know what it's about this year. We've done several of them. We've promoted them. And Bob's going to come on and talk to us about it. It's actually a fundraiser for the Cops for Kids program. But if you haven't seen Anaheim Confidential, make sure you listen in on the 16th. Let's see what Joe has to say. You can go coloring with a cop and bring ice cream. That would make a full day, Joe. That's perfect plan right there. When you're tongue-tied, it's good having audience participation, and Joe's the best. Let's move right along. What else? What's going on in the markets today? Do we want to look at the markets today? The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 103 points. S&P 500 is now up 5. NASDAQ is up 58. Oil's up 85 cents a barrel. And the 10-year Treasury is up 12 basis points, up at 2.69. It was pushing 2.54 early in the session today and taking a big jump up. I'm going to guess. And, it's just an educated guess. I've only been doing lending since 1983, but that's a whole different story. But I'm going to throw a guess out there. This is all called a flight to safety. Just wondering, because now we've got a new person setting, well, maybe it's not a new person, setting our foreign policy. After 25 years, Nancy Pelosi decides it was her duty to go to Taiwan and maybe incite some sort of world war, although we know Nancy Pelosi and her ways. Right? What did she go to Taiwan for? It had nothing to do with caring about Taiwan. She wanted to check on her husband's investment in NVIDIA. We understand that. That's why she tried to do it 2 months ago, but she got COVID. So she had to postpone her trip until now. Yeah, and then she does her husband invests in options in NVIDIA, so that way he could leverage more money into the stock. And then he decides that he's going to go and maybe better sell out before the chip spill. But how many times has he made millions and millions of dollars because of what she's doing? Well, of course, probably not nearly as much as Hunter Biden, but that's a whole different story. Let's move along and see what else is going on. Gas prices. Yeah, we like to talk about gas prices. Now, wait a second. I wonder if it's Putin that's bringing these gas prices down, being that it was Putin that brought the gas prices up. I don't know. We'll have to check it out. I'm sure the president will take credit for this one too. If it's good, he takes credit. If it's bad, he doesn't. Although, I might be inclined to think, we killed, supposedly, because this man's got 9 lives, we killed a terrorist over in Afghanistan that supposedly was killed once before. Is it surprising anybody that this happens in August, just a few months before the elections? I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if it's true or not, but I will never cease to amaze me what politicians will do to us. Not for us, to us. California gas prices, $5.59 a gallon. Josh, you're at 5.06. You're still... Jody, 4.47. Lori's paying in Louisiana $3.80 a gallon. Now, if there was a good reason to move to Louisiana, we might go over there and get gas, but not sure that we're going to do that. Let's take a look at the latest stick it to the public numbers. I've got the numbers here for you. We've got this Build Back Smaller plan. Have you looked at some of the numbers on who's going to get hurt by the newest plan by the Democrats? Amazing looking at some of these numbers. Where's the money going to? It's a $433 billion bill, $433 billion. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Remember the definition of inflation: too few goods, too much money chasing too few goods. So let's put another $433 billion into the economy. Here's where the money's going. $369 billion on energy and climate efforts. Now, I've shared with you in the past, I'm not the most religious guy in the world, but something, I think there's a higher power that has more to do with what's going on in the world than spending $369 billion to think we can change the temperature. I have trouble changing my thermostat, and these guys want to change the entire world. $369 billion. $300 billion in green loan guarantees. Didn't Solyndra get enough money? $80 billion to double the number of IRS agents to conduct audits. That ought to help inflation. $60 billion for environmental justice initiatives. $9 billion in tax credits for wealthy families to buy electric vehicles. Gotta love that one. $2.6 billion to conserve coastal habitats. That'll help inflation. $1.5 billion to plant trees. Now, I'm just going to say it. What the heck? We've got open borders. There's plenty of people to plant trees. We have no problem there right now. That's just a whole different issue. Unbelievable what this Build Back Better program is that they want to call a Inflation Reduction Act. These are from the people that told us that inflation is transitory. So spend another $433 billion after we did the CHIPS bill for another $280 billion. So let's put another $750 billion into causing the same things that caused the inflation in the first place. And we have a lot of people that believe it's so. Unbelievable. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio. Maybe the dolphins and trees cause inflation. That's probably, something, Joe, you could sell that in Washington. That would not be a problem in Washington. They'd probably find somebody that would believe, or in California, either place it'll sell. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, protect our kids. Is it a concerted effort to sabotage our kids? Might be. We're going to learn about it. Graphs to show this is not a housing bubble. 3 ways a good FICO score could help you fight inflation. All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, well, the first segment you might want to miss, you can reach me anytime, 800-306-1990. Miss a broadcast? Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. RonSiegelRadio.com in the archive. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is, you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. S&P, the Mortgage Minute today being brought. I guess I didn't lose. I thought I'd get my marbles back for the second segment, but I guess that's not the case. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990. The Dow Jones Industrial Average now up 8 points. Let's see what's going on in the bond markets. That's really what we need to focus on. 10-year Treasury up 8 basis points. Mortgage-backed securities are down 47 basis points. That means interest rates are up. Ow! Yeah, and OBMMI, they have the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. What are rates really doing? Well, yesterday, the 30-year conforming loan, 5.259, jumbo loan, 4.916, 30-year FHA loan, 5.23. Best loan on the market because it's only for those who earned it. That would be the 30-year VA loan, 4.941. And for those of you in our rural communities, 30-year USDA, 5.203. That's where the loan's actually locked at yesterday. The question becomes, why is all of this happening? And that's why you listen to Ron Siegel Radio. Those other numbers, they're available on that super secret website, google.com. CoreLogic released their home price index report showing that home prices rose by 0.6% in June, 18.3% year over year. Sorry, Diana Olick, prices are still going up, just not at 20% anymore. It's 18.3 on a year over year basis, which declined from 20.2% in May. Can't keep going on like that, but I know Diana thinks that we're in a housing crash. 0.6% rise in June was when rates reached their peak. And if it were annualized with compounding, would be around 7.5% year over year. Still a great number. So even at 7.5%, it's almost double what the historic numbers are nationwide. Yes, in Southern California, Orange County, our last 63 years have averaged about 5.2%. CoreLogic forecasted home prices will appreciate by 0.6% in July, 4.3% year over year going forward. Pretty in line with what we've been talking to you about. Finally, CoreLogic is getting more in accuracy. I mean, they were saying a couple of years ago there was going to be a negative 6.6 when we were at 20%. Remember, 4% inflation, 4% appreciation can still be meaningful for wealth creation. If you bought a $400,000 home, I know there's not a lot of them in Southern California, put 10% down, that means would be a $16,000 gain in appreciation over the next year, which is about a 40% return on your investment due to the leverage you've got. Think about that concept. Now, I've shared with you before, we're going to start doing a corporate benefit program all over the state, maybe in other states as well, just doing some cash and liability management, because so many people don't understand cash and liability management. Why? It's not taught anymore. So we're going to take that challenge on and go all over the state to different corporations and bring that benefit to the HR departments. If they want to share it with their people, so be it, but we'll make it available for free. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Now, you know, the easiest way for a radio host to get their tongue untied is to bring on the guest and let them talk. Mark Schneider is here for Protect Our Kids Now. Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
So I'm gonna just say, Mark, it's the Mark Schneider Show. Take it on.
Oh,
So tell me a little bit about the organization first.
Well, Protect Our Kids is a 501c3. We started about 3.5 years ago. Our main objective, our mission in life, is to educate and inform as many parents and concerned citizens as we can about the threats to their children, unfortunately, Ron, in the public school system. So we do that by putting on conferences throughout the state of California, and we have chapters in other states now. Our mission has spread nationwide. We produce videos, 10-minute sort of PragerU type videos to get the message across to our audience about what's happening in the public school system. So that's our mission. The public school system is a dangerous place for kids today. And unfortunately, it's not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for quite some time.
It's scary when you think about some of the things that you've shared with us in the past and we hear in certain areas. And is it, first off, I have to dispel a myth here. Is it more the teachers or the unions that are promoting this type of thing?
They're working together.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. The teachers less so, but the teachers, are pretty much controlled by the unions. The school boards, they're often elected with union money. And the largest union in the country, most people don't know this, is the National Educators Association, over 3 million members and counting. And they work part and parcel with the California Teachers Association, which is probably the biggest union in the state of California. And they control the agenda of what's happening in the public schools.
Is that National Educators Association? Is that the one that wanted to keep the kids out of school for 2 or 3 or 4 years?
That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
So they're a teachers union to educate kids, but they don't want kids in school.
They don't want kids in school. And when kids are in school, they want to make very sure what they're being educated on. It has very little to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic these days. It's more about what we call the triple threat: sex and gender theory, critical race theory, and social and emotional learning, which tends to be the delivery vehicle for those other two things.
Does it worry anybody but me that why are they so anxious to talk about sex to kids? I just want, I just throw that out there. It seems like, why is it so exciting? I thought there's laws against having, underage or minor conversations, pictures, whatever. Yet the school districts, they just want to talk about sex to kids. I don't think they're not ready for that kind of conversation even.
It's hard to imagine, but parents often wonder, some of the pornographic materials, for example, that are a regular feature of school libraries now and are being shown in school classrooms. There's a carve out in the education code for educational materials, even though they're pornographic in nature. So teachers and school districts can't be sued for this. The same book that if you were to go to a park, a city park, and give to a child that you could be arrested for distributing pornography,
really,
teachers are free to give in the public school system. Yes, that's a fact.
Wow.
There was a famous case called Miller v. California. It goes back all the way to 1971 that articulates this feature in the law. So if it's for, quote, educational purposes, all bets are off.
So the pedophiles just have to start claiming that they're educating people.
They do. In fact, you're talking about the National Educators Association and their 2019 conference in Houston. They had a drag queen show at the end of the conference where they brought in strippers and drag queens, where children were involved watching this. So this tells you, Ron, the mindset of these unions, these organizations.
Wow, that I don't know. I've got a grandson now, and I've got, I think, more on the way eventually. But, it's scary.
It really is. Yeah, the literacy rate back in 1830, before compulsory education was really a force to be reckoned with in the United States, was much higher in 1830 than it is today. 95% in 1830 compared to 75% today. And California, in terms of its school system, ranks at almost the bottom of the barrel. We're number 44 out of 50 states in the union for academic proficiency.
I was listening to a retired general just recently, and they were talking about the idea that they have to have pre-recruitment classes because so many of the recruits can't pass a basic test to get into the military.
Yeah.
That's really, when you talk about a problem, think about that concept.
This isn't new. Back in 1983, there was a famous report that was issued by the government called A Nation at Risk, that called the lack of academic proficiency in the United States a national security threat. And it's only gotten much worse than that. In 1989, a famous University of Chicago professor Alan Bloom wrote his famous book, The Closing of the American Mind, which he described the crisis in American education. But one statement he made was very interesting. He said that almost every incoming freshman in the university believes or says he believes the truth is relative. That was over 34 years ago.
The truth is relative.
The truth is relative. There is no objective truth. Truth is whatever you think it is.
That's kind of crazy.
Since then, we've had entire generation of kids come through the public school system with that mindset.
Wow. Well, I actually, relatively speaking, I think I'm thin, but but it doesn't seem to work when I put on thin people's clothes. So it's a whole different thought. But this is kind of crazy stuff when you're thinking about you would almost think that it's a science fiction if we weren't living it.
We live in an Orwellian world. Yeah, you can't make this up. I mean, if you were to read 1984 or Animal Farm, we are living in that reality right now.
Some of the things are more like Animal House, but that's a whole different story.
That's true too.
I mean, when you really think about some of the things, and just in the things that we've been talking about on our team calls and some of the things we do outside of the radio program, the fact that so many people have no idea even about liability management, financial planning, and the fact that we can go to some of the most basic of corporations, maybe some of the highest level corporations, and talk to them and say, who's helping your staff with this? Nobody. They don't know anything about a mortgage. They don't know anything about credit card debt. They don't know about compound interest. Can't define money. It's amazing. And it's all because they're trying to teach them about stuff that the kids shouldn't know about or shouldn't be worried about instead of basics of math. I don't know, Mark, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in California. I was born and raised in Northern California, and I've lived all over the state.
Did you have, when you were in school, did you have a class? I think they called it in my school, they called it home economics.
I did, actually.
Right. And you had to carry around a little folder with checkbook, and you had to balance your bank statement every month.
Correct.
It was a 6 month, it was a 1 semester class.
I not only had that class, Ron, but in order to pass the 8th grade into 9th grade, I had to pass a course on the Constitution of the United States. This is a requirement to progress into 9th grade.
I remember that class. Yeah.
Those days are long gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know something, I'm not going to go there too. We got you. We'll talk more about this when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Got a couple graphs to show you that we're not in a housing bubble. Ways a good FICO score could help you fight inflation and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less? All without having to spend more each month than you spend right now. Yes, that's correct. all without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Graphs to show this is not a housing bubble with all the headlines and buzz in the media. Some consumers believe the market is in a housing bubble. As the housing market shifts, you may be wondering what will happen next. It's only natural for concerns to creep in that it could be a repeat of what took place in 2008. The good news is there's concrete data to show why this is nothing like the last time. There's a shortage of homes on the market today, not a surplus. The supply of inventory needed to sustain a normal real estate market is approximately 6 months. Anything more than that is an overabundance and will cause prices to depreciate. Anything less than that is a shortage and will lead to continued price appreciation. For historical content, there were too many homes for sale during the housing crisis, many of which were short sales and foreclosures, and that caused prices to tumble. Today, supply is growing, but there's still a shortage of inventory available. First graph I'm going to show you, if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, is a graph from the National Association of Realtors to show how this time compares to the crash. Today, unsold inventory sits at a 3-month supply at the current sales pace, and that's a misleading number. One of the reasons inventory is still low is because of sustained underbuilding. When you couple that with ongoing buyer demand as millennials age into their peak home buying years, it continues to put upward pressure on home prices. That limited supply compared to buyer demand is why experts forecast home prices won't fall. We're looking at a 3-month supply of homes on the market. Why do I say that that's a misleading number? Because 51% of them are already under contract. See, if there's a property on the market and it's under contract, it still shows as being on the market because it's not sold yet. It hasn't closed yet. There still could be reasons that the transaction does not finalize. So it stays as a pending open listing until it's closed. 51% of the properties on the market right now, and we're 40% below normal numbers in 2019. 51% are under contract. Mortgage standards were much more relaxed during the crash. Yeah, if you could fog a mirror, you got a loan. That's the way it was. During the lead up to the housing crisis, it was much easier to get a home loan than it is today. The graph showcases data on the Mortgage Credit Availability Index from the Mortgage Bankers Association. The higher the number, the easier it is to get a mortgage. If we look back during the housing bubble, 868.7 was the number. Today it's 119.6. If my math is right, is that about 15%, about an 85% below where it was? Running up to 2006, banks were creating artificial demand by lowering lending standards and making it easy for just about anyone to qualify for a home loan or refinance their current home. Back then, lending institutions took on a much greater risk in both the person and the mortgage products offered. That led to mass defaults, foreclosures, and falling prices. Today, Things are different, and purchasers face much higher standards from mortgage companies. Mark Fleming, chief economist at First American, says, quote, credit standards tightened in recent months due to increasing economic uncertainty and monetary policy tightening, unquote. Stricter standards like there are today help prevent a risk of a rash of foreclosures like there was last time. Speaking of foreclosures, the foreclosure volume is nothing like it was during the crash. The most obvious difference is the number of homeowners that were facing foreclosure after the housing bubble. Foreclosure activity has been on the way down since the crash because buyers today are more qualified and less likely to default on their loans. Next graph, Adam Data Solutions helps us with this story, showing us that in 2009 to 2010, 2.9 million properties in foreclosure. Today's there's 151,000 as of the end of 2021. Why? Because the average debt on a property right now, the loan to value right now is 42%. That means there's 58% equity. Why would somebody let their property go if they've got 58% equity? In addition, homeowners today are equity rich, like I just said, not tapped out in the run up to the housing bubble. Some homeowners were using their homes as a personal ATM. Many immediately withdrew their equity once it built up when the home values began to fall. Homeowners just found themselves in a negative equity situation and just said, adios, I'm out of here. Today, prices have risen nicely over the last few years, and that's given homeowners an equity boost, according to Black Knight. Bottom line, if you're worried about this making sense to talk in your situation, we've got the numbers for every zip code in the United States. Give us a call at 800-306-1990. And as always, I ask you, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or borrow on real estate, can I count on you to introduce them to me? That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Continuing our conversation with Mark Schneider, we're talking about protecting our kids. Maybe we need to just educate our parents. That's where we have to start.
Yeah, there's a real positive understanding by parents who have kids in the public school system, and it's understandable. You know, in California, most parents have to work just to make ends meet, and the school system has been part of our culture for well over 100 years now, and school is just a place where you send your kids. But the contract that parents used to have, Ron, with the school system is that school system more or less shared parental values, and that they were going to do things. It's like the Hippocratic Oath, the first tenet of which is do no harm. And parents trusted in that for millennia. That's not the case anymore. That contract has been broken. Whereas now, parents need to be very, very vigilant about what their kids are learning in the public school system.
So when I was in school and my kids were in school, right about this time, well, maybe another month, things have changed quite a bit when you talk about the timing. Usually the first few weeks of school, we're back to school night. And as a parent, well, I always went. I know my parents always went, wanted to know exactly what they were teaching. Are they telling the parents what they're teaching at these back to school nights, or are they telling them what they think they want to hear?
More the latter than the former. In fact, there's a concerted effort among teachers to keep parents in the dark. We've uncovered this. We've written articles about it. It's not news. You can go to Twitter and YouTube and find evidence that teachers are actually happy about the fact that they're hiding from parents the fact that they're indoctrinating these parents' kids in sexual and gender theory. They're actually happy about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you have to wonder if that's what they're happy, if that's what the teachers around are happy about, then what do they do when they're not in school?
Well, that's true.
Right? I mean,
yeah. And we don't want to indict all teachers.
No,
there
no.
are many good. I mean, they're part of our organization. Many teachers are trying to do a fantastic job and protect our kids. But Ron, increasingly, the school systems have been infiltrated by activist teachers who have a worldview agenda that they're trying to push on our kids.
Well, I just saw recently that NEA is having one of their largest amount of people that are teachers that are saying, hey, I don't want to be part of this, and I don't want to pay dues to this, and I don't support what the union is doing? Are you seeing that around the country, or is that
Yes,
just there?
there is an exodus out of the National Educators Association and state unions like the California Teachers Association, and there are alternatives. There's the Christian Educators Association International that people can go. They get all the same benefits of the CTA, and they pay much less in dues, and they're not funding this radical leftist worldview by doing so.
So is that, because based on the name, I would ask, is that only for Christians then?
There are other organizations as well,
Okay.
but this is the most well-known one.
Okay.
This is a great alternative for parents.
Do you think we're going to ever get to the voucher system so we make a fair playing field for underprivileged kids?
I hope so. We tried to. This November, there was an initiative for school choice that required 1 million signatures. We came up a little bit short, but I think in 2024, there's a very good chance that the voters of California will see an educational school choice initiative on the ballot, and they have to pay very close attention. I think, Ron, personally, that's the ultimate remedy for the problems that we're having in the school system. Give the parents a credit or a check, and they can take the money that's now being paid in the school system, which is about $17,000 a year per student, and they can decide themselves where they want to spend that money. In a private school, they can homeschool, or they can keep their kids in public school if they want, but the choice is theirs. Because right now, the worst kind of monopoly there is a government monopoly. And the public school system, for all intents and purposes, is a monopoly. There's about 6 million children in the K through 12 aged school children in California. About 95% of them are in the public school system.
And this is the school system that's number 44 in educational
44
quality.
out of 50 in academics.
So it becomes an issue of, we got to look out for the kids and see what's going on here. Our time goes by so fast. Josh, I'm gonna skip our Borrow Smart segment so we can continue our conversation with Mark Schneider. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Fun being the host because you can just throw that out to the production team on the fly. And I'm not going to go there. Reach us anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of paying someone else's mortgage? Do you know qualified folks can potentially purchase a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket? Ron Siegel can help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. If you're tired of paying someone else's mortgage, reach out to Ron today at RonIsMyLender.com. That's RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment. As I said, I'm going to push that off until tomorrow, but I will tell you the Borrow Smart segment is brought to you by the National Institute of Financial Education. We are going out and talking to businesses. If you are a part of a business, 25 or more people, we will bring in a team free to the company as a benefit to the organization to do some credit and liability mastery workshops right there on site. Credit and liability mastery workshops. No, you're not getting this anywhere else. So we're going to bring it to the population for free. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by the National Institute of Financial Education. Continue our conversation this morning. We're talking with Mark Schneider, and ironically enough, as happens with many of our guests, when it's a fascinating topic like Mark's, unfortunately, we need people like Mark to be here to share bad news, right? That we don't always get into the subject that we kind of had our mind. We talked about ahead of the show.
Yeah.
But so give me an idea. I mean, I'm 40 years 35 years out of school, so I don't know that I ever remember these things. But we started changing from what I remember in the No Child Left Behind era, where we had to bring down standards instead of bringing up people. Has this been going? How long has this been going on?
It's been going on for much longer than most parents realize. In fact, we have a chart that we often talk about during our conferences, what we call the SOGI chart: sexual orientation, gender identity. That's a term of art in the school community, SOGI, and it shows that the change in the laws that have corrupted our public school system, particularly in terms of sexualizing children, go back to Gray Davis administration in California. So you're talking all the way back to 1999. In fact, way back then, he passed a law, was Assembly Bill 537, that for the first time in California history, permitted teachers. Now, teachers are authority figures in the classroom, right? When you're a third grader, who do you pay attention to?
Sure.
The teacher.
Teachers, absolutely.
It allowed teachers to publicly proclaim their sexual proclivity status. For example, I just want to tell you, students, that I happen to be a homosexual, or I'm a lesbian, that this is my sexual orientation. To publicly proclaim this in the classroom. That was Gray Davis. And then it happened under Republican governors too. Under Arnold Schwarzenegger, Title V.
He wasn't a Republican. He just called himself.
That's
my opinion.
That's what he called himself. But Title V of the Education Code was changed under his administration to say that the definition of gender now was no longer your sex at birth, but whatever your perceived sexual identity was. And once this is changed in our education code, that has ramifications for everything that is taught in the classroom. And it only went downhill from there. In 2010, he signed into law Senate Bill 543, where school staff now were permitted to take children who were struggling with their sexual identity off campus for therapy without a parent's knowledge or even consent.
Wow.
Yeah, 2010, Ron.
So none of this is real new,
It's not new.
And I'm old, and I still don't care about what someone's sexual preferences are. Right? I mean, it's irrelevant. So a kid at 7, 8, 10 years old. That's kind of scary because they don't even know what those words mean. So now you have to start explaining what they mean.
Well, you touched on something here. It's not natural to talk about these things in a school setting, to talk about sexual issues. So from that there's an agenda behind this movement. And the laws only got worse after 2010. In 2013, we had in California the famous bathroom bill, which opened up bathrooms to children who identified with the opposite sex. So now young men, entering puberty, and we know how that works, all of a sudden they see beautiful women. All they need to do to enter the girls' bathroom is to say, well, I identify as a girl today, so I'm going to use the girls' restroom.
That would have made life a whole lot easier when we were in school. I mean, I'm not that I'm saying it's good. I'm just saying that, it used to be a time when that was something you wanted to do, and that was not, for fun.
That's right.
And now they're saying, well, the kids can just say, I identify. It's scary.
It's frightening, particularly for young girls entering adolescence. And Abigail Schreier, famous author, she wrote a book called Irreversible Damage. And she catalogs what's happening across the country. It's become a social contagion for young adolescent girls now to identify as boys. Unfortunately, now the school system is empowered to take that gender dysphoria and to help these girls transition into the opposite sex. Of course, that's impossible, but they will arrange for off-campus puberty blockers like Lupron, which if you're on that for very long, it creates irreversible damage. Your vocal cords will change forever, even if you get off of it after a few months. But often these puberty blockers leads to cross-sex hormone therapy. So we're putting girls on testosterone. That leads to sterilization and then radical sex change operations, which the school systems are orchestrating.
And ironically enough, I've started seeing a few different interviews lately with people that were involved in these issues. And later in life, they're upset that, they weren't ready for it. They didn't know what the ramifications were going to be of it, and wish they had never been involved in it because they just didn't know. They didn't know enough. They didn't know what they didn't know, and they were too young to handle it. And now as they matured, they're upset that, they were let down by the people that they were counting on.
There's a current bill that's working its way now through our California legislature. It's Senate Bill 107, which I encourage all your listeners in California to understand and to defeat. Basically, this says that Governor Newsom wants California to become a gender-affirming care sanctuary state, which means that states that have passed laws restricting puberty blockers and sex reassignment surgery, he wants them to come to California and California taxpayers to pay for their surgery here in this state.
And you wonder why there's 22 states California is boycotting 22 different states of going there, because maybe they're a little more normal than we are here in California.
Yeah, that's right. So you can imagine, let's say parents are divorced and one parent is living in Texas, the other one's living in California. Texas has outlawed these kinds of medical services, but the child is gender dysphoric. Governor Newsom will say, well, come to California and we will deny Texas custody laws and we will give your child safe haven for the parent living in California to have the surgery here.
So violating laws with the protection of the state,
violating the full faith and credit clause of the United States Constitution.
Wow, pretty amazing. So I know we've only got about a minute left, maybe less. Josh has already given me the wrap up here. You've mentioned some you've written some articles. Where do we find them?
You can go to our website, protectourkidsnow.org, protectourkidsnow.org, and you can go under the podcast section or the article section, and you can review all our material there.
How does the organization get its funding?
Mainly through donors. So if you feel like this is something you want to support, getting the word out to parents to warn them about what's happening, you can donate through our webpage.
And what about for the worker bees?
Same thing. I mean, you can support.
Reach out through the
website.
Out
through the website.
Protectourkidsnow.org. Great information. I'm glad you come back and share with us periodically, so you can keep us up to date on what's going on. We'll have to make sure that Are there any things on the 2022 ballots that we need to be aware of?
Well, this not particularly on the ballot, but you should contact your state legislature about this particular bill, Senate Bill 107. Very ominous and dangerous bill.
And we had, if you didn't catch our broadcast a couple weeks ago, Josh Newman was here. And make sure that you talk to your state representatives. Let them know what you think. If you want your kids going through this, let them know. If you don't want your kids going through this, let them know. That's how we do things the right way in the United States. I know everyone likes to protest and vandalize and all those other things. But the best way to do these things in the U.S. is actually just talk to your elected officials. If you don't like what they're doing, don't vote for them. Simple as that. Great information. Appreciate you coming in and sharing with us,
Thank you
Mark.
for having me, Ron.
As always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Let's go.